McCrispy strips are now at McDonald's. Tender, juicy, and its own sauce. Would you look at that? Well, you can't see it, but trust me, it looks delicious. New McCrispy strips, now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Behind the Mic, powered by REVOLT Podcast Network. I'm your host, Wize Grazette, RPN community manager and podcast enthusiast. Now, if you listen to the show, you already know what I'm about to say next. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok at REVOLT Podcast Network, and follow us on Twitter at REVOLT Podcast. We also have a website, y'all. Visit us at listen.revolt.tv, where you can see our entire podcast library. Now you know a little bit about us. Let's talk about our guest today. Our guest, as you can imagine, is another REVOLT Podcast Network podcaster. Say that 10 times fast. Her name is Aaliyah. She has a podcast called Young and Dumb Show. Aaliyah, thank you for joining us on Behind the Mic.
Appreciate you for having me, for sure.
Yes, of course. So Aaliyah, you know, I know a little bit about you, but can you share a little bit about yourself with the audience?
I like to say how y'all feeling. So when y'all watch this, how y'all feeling? But I am Aaliyah Duah. I'm 21 years old, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn.
Facts. Brooklyn in the house. I'm a graduate of Virginia State University. I graduated in 2023. I have a degree in business management. While I was in college, I started an organization company called Financial Revolutionn. So Financial Revolutionn is a company that I created to teach financial literacy and entrepreneurship. And now we have expanded to political literacy as well, to Gen Z, right? And to, African Americans, because I felt like there's things that we use every day. Money, we eat every day. There's laws passed every day, but we don't know what's going on, right? So I wanted to basically, bring the information in a relatable way, in an understandable way, so that my peers can understand what's going on and could be well prepared for what's to come. And just how to, be financially literate, how to be smart, how to invest your money, how to, invest into stocks, things like that. It now has grew into where I'm in schools teaching financial literacy. I work with about like 200, 300 kids a week, educating them on financial literacy, entrepreneurship, politics. And through that, I created the Young and Dumb Show. And the idea with the Young and Dumb Show was to basically sit down with a lot of people that I feel like have mentored me over time. And there was a lot of conversations that I just had growing up that made me who I am today. Like one good conversation can literally change your life. And I felt like instead of me just getting that mentorship privately and talking to these people privately, let's turn that into a podcast. So the Young and Dumb Show was created because when you're young, you make a lot of, mistakes, or just you learn a lot of things, right? And they always say that a wise person learns from another person's mistakes, right? And another person's failures. So just getting the in and out of business, getting the in and out of what it looks like to be a manager at a top company. How are you successful in these industries? How are you successful in entrepreneurship, right? The real deal behind the scenes, but really catered towards Gen Z, right? That Gen Z audience, and just really talk about the adulting process, right? So how do you go from an adolescent to an adult? Like that is not an easy thing, right? That's a whole new thing that's happening in your life, especially in today's time period. So that's the Young and Dumb Show. That's what we talk about. I sit down with all types of people, like I said, entrepreneurs, entertainers, people who work in corporate offices, and just really get the whole scope.
What was it that you were seeing that made you say, you know what, I need to do this, not for just for Gen Z, but then even as you advance and grew within the company, saying I need to do this for Gen Alpha as well too?
So I grew up playing basketball. So we're going to get behind the mic for real, right? So I grew up playing basketball. I played basketball since I was in about like third grade. Before I played basketball, I played the trumpet, right? And I've always been in some type of entertainment or sports type of activity. But both of my parents were also entrepreneurs. So I got to see like what entrepreneurship looked like. So even though I was playing basketball, on weekends when I didn't play, I'm helping my mom label her packaging and do different things. And like, it used to be literally for me to make money. If I wanted sneakers or clothes or whatever, it was literally like, hey, you're going to go sell this many things, and in exchange, I'll get you that shirt you want. So from young, I started to understand like the power of entrepreneurship. But then during the pandemic, you know, when you grow up in a place like Brooklyn, you doing what everybody else is doing. So it's like I'm seeing it, but like it didn't hit me until the pandemic, where I'm looking on the news and I'm just seeing everything in regards to Black people just seem negative. Everything that was spoken about us just seemed like negative. And then I'm like, there has to be people who are building wealth during this time. Everybody just can't be broke. Like that just don't make sense. So I just started really looking up how to make money. What is this? What is that? And that led me to learning about financial literacy. And I read books that shifted my mindset to let me see that like there are systems that are put in place that literally withholds information from us. And that's why we act the way we act. We do the things that we do. We know the information that we know while we're miseducated, because there are literally systems put in place. And knowing that, I said, okay, I need to be able to use my diversity, right? So I can go to the hood, speak to my mans, tell them what it is. I can go speak in a corporate office and represent how I need to represent. I could go on a basketball court and do what I do. So I said, I need to use my diversity and my well-roundedness to really spread this message, because that's what's missing, right? That relatability aspect. So that's really what it was that like gave me that shift.
That is an incredible story. I think that,
Thank you.
that's a mark of a leader, like seeing a problem, seeing an issue and be like, you know what, like I'm going to take charge and I'm going to use like my own personal experiences to try to help others do better. Even if that's like one step in the right direction, like that's the mark of a leader. So incredibly proud to have you on the podcast today. I love that your family helped instill that mindset of like entrepreneurship and you just kind of like having your own, is there anything else that you would say that your family did or that was like a tradition or value that you would say helped you get to where you are today?
Not necessarily anything that was a tradition, but more so the power of self, right? So my family allowed me to know that like I was powerful. My family allowed me to know that anything that I want to achieve is I'm capable of doing so. There's a lot of young people who have ideas, but they go home and they tell their source, right? Because your family becomes your base, right? That's your source. That's where you're supposed to get that energy, that power. That when you down, you're supposed to go back to the source and get it. And you'll go back to the source and they'll tell you, nah, you can't do that. Nah, that won't work. And I would say for me per se, that's not, what I had. I had people who support anything that I could say I'm about to become an astronaut tomorrow. They would try to tell me like, okay, but they will never tell me you can't do it. Right. So I think that is super important. Right. I always believed, and to this day, I still believe that anything I want to achieve is possible. And they gave me the willingness to let me know that I can try. And even if I fail, like at least I tried, and I think that's super, super important. That's something I can't trade in for the world. So I think that's a part of my life mission as well, why I'm so passionate about giving to others and providing information to others, because I know that I've been blessed in ways that other people aren't. Right. So I think when you're blessed, you have to become a blessing to other people.
Preach. No, preach. So before we move on to our game that we have, I'm going to switch this question up a little bit, right? I normally ask people what's one thing that you want people to know about you that they don't know from the podcast, but I know you say you teach 200 to 300 kids a week. So what's one thing that the kids that you teach don't know about you, but you think that they would love to know about you?
That's a great question. Oh, this is a great question. I'm usually quick with my answers. This is one thing that my kids don't know about me. Well, I'm not really open with the play basketball thing. So when I tell them, they're like, oh, word. So I think that would be like one thing, like, that I grew up playing basketball, because I literally like shifted my identity from a basketball player to like entrepreneur now.
I'm looking forward to the video where I see you bust their ass one day in basketball. You go out there and be like, oh, no, I can't really play. And you hit them with a step back. And they be like, hold on. Don't you say you couldn't play?
Nah, yes, definitely. I play basketball with probably like two of my students. Like sometimes I'll go in the gym with them after they do some work and I'll play with them. They got that work. They sort of real.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, Aaliyah, thank you for that. We are going to play a game. The game is going to be called Word Association. As all the games on this show are alike. They're all 30 seconds, super quick, rapid fire. With word association, I'm going to say a word. You tell me the first thing that comes to mind. Cool? All right, awesome. Okay, so we're starting in 3, 2, 1. Clubhouse.
Speech.
Threads.
Threads. Messaging.
All right, last one. Lil Nas X.
Changemaker. I don't know.
Okay, no, I'll take that. I'll
Changemaker.
take that. I'll take that. Okay, so Aaliyah, any parting words for the audience before you go?
Oh yeah, for sure. One, I want to appreciate you guys. I love what REVOLT Podcast Network is doing. Thank you guys for the opportunity for to just have me, on your platform. And I love the messaging and everything like that. I think that we only grow through good conversation, and what you listen to and what you feed in your mind on a day-to-day basis matters, right? It's just like what you eat matters, so what you feed in your mind matters. So if you want some good quality content, good quality conversation that is still like entertaining and things like that, make sure you come listen to the Young and Dumb Show. We about to be back with some episodes, and it's gonna be fire. It's gonna be some heat. So I appreciate y'all. And if y'all want to get good with y'all money, come to the Financial Revolutionn.
Where can they find you, or where can they start their financial revolution?
Oh yes, so I'm on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all platforms as Financial Revolutionn with 2 N's, FINANCIAL Revolutionn, REVOLUTIONN, financialrevolutionn.com. If you ever have any questions, y'all can always hit me up. Pretty personable. I'm here to help y'all, things like that. And also I have a financial literacy drinking game that I created. It's called Broker Brilliant. So, we have Christmas, Thanksgiving, all that coming up. So, this is a game that you want to play with your family, date nights, all types of stuff. And it's a fun way to, learn financial literacy, but be entertained at the same time. So come see if y'all Broker Brilliant.
That is fun as hell. And I promise you, my holiday situation is going to be, I'm going to get a couple of those sets for the family. Aaliyah, thank you so much again for coming on Behind the Mic, powered by REVOLT Podcast Network. I'm your host, Wize Grazette. You all can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and all the places at The Real Wize, WIZE. And I will see you on another episode of Behind the Mic.
If you're looking for flavor, rhythm, and real culture, Chicago is where it's at. Hit a street fest in Pilsen, catch a free show in Millennium Park, or vibe out to a house music set where it all began. Then take that summer energy and roll through the rest of the state, hitting up hidden gems, chill outdoor escapes, and road trips for days. Enjoy Illinois, the middle of everything. Plan your trip at enjoyillinois.com.